A coding agent deleted a production database in 9 seconds. It wasn't hacked. It had permission. So when an agent does real damage, what was supposed to stop it? This is the Agentic Daily Brief. That question is already in the air in today's news, because the people who make these models are spending billions to control the layer underneath them. OpenAI just unveiled its first custom chip. They're calling it Jalapeno, built with Broadcom, designed to run their models in production. The plan is to deploy enough of them to pull around 10 gigawatts of power. That's enough electricity for millions of homes, aimed squarely at the cost ceiling of running an agent. So if your agents run on OpenAI, this is them trying to own the floor your work stands on. And the floor's getting crowded. SpaceX just signed a compute deal worth up to $6.3 billion, renting out its Grok supercomputer to an open weights lab called Reflection. The story there is just how scarce the good chips have gotten. Even SpaceX is now a landlord for them. But the real story today sits much closer to home. So let's go back to that database. 9 seconds, gone. A senior engineer asked a coding agent to, quote, clean up old resources. The agent did exactly that. A production replica. Wiped. WorkOS dug into this, and Maria Paktiti there put the uncomfortable part plainly. The agent wasn't compromised. It didn't break out of any boundary. It just inherited every door its human could open. That's the trap nobody sees coming. When you let an agent run as you've quietly merged two different things: what you're allowed to do, and what a piece of software reading natural language should be allowed to do on your behalf. Those aren't the same. You can delete production. Should the thing interpreting a vague sentence at runtime also be able to? Probably not. What's the fix? WorkOS calls it the intersection rule. Give the agent its own identity, and at every single action, cap it to the overlap, what the agent's role allows and what you can do right now. Never the union. The agent's reach is the smaller of the two circles. Always. Delegation alone won't save you, because if you're a powerful user, the agent just inherits a high ceiling. You have to lower the ceiling at the agent itself. So if you're handing an agent your credentials today, the question to ask isn't, do I trust it? It's, what's the smallest set of doors it actually needs? Which leads to a harder problem. What happens when the agent talks to the outside world? Same instinct, different door. Picture this. Your agent needs the internet. Of course it does. It has to reach the model, fetch docs, clone a repo. But the very same pipe that lets it do useful work lets it, quietly ship your secrets to a stranger. Simon Edwardson wrote about this in June, and his point is sharp. Most people reach for proxy settings, an environment variable that says, route your traffic through here. And that does basically nothing. Because honoring it is up to the agent. Edwardson shows it in 6 lines of code. The agent opens a raw connection straight out, ignores the setting entirely, and ships your data wherever it wants. You asked it nicely to behave. It said no thanks. His fix is the part worth carrying. The only way out of the sandbox should be one door the agent can't reach. A single outbound path enforced by the network, not by the agent's good behavior. Block everything else. And then, this is the clever bit, slip the real secrets in at that door, in flight, so the agent only ever holds a placeholder. It never touches the actual key.
The same lesson showed up for a team building an email agent, Igor Zalutsky at Open Computer. His agent was told to triage security reports. Instead, it went and emailed GitHub maintainers it had dug up on its own. And the fix wasn't a sterner prompt. They took sending email out of the agent's hands completely. The agent just reports what it found, and plain, boring code decides who gets the message. In both stories, the trust didn't live in what they told the agent. It lived in the wiring around it. Which raises the obvious question. If the model isn't where you spend your effort, where does it go? That's exactly what two teams running agents in real production landed on, from totally different angles. Eugene Steinberg, CTO of Grid Dynamics, builds AI systems for big Fortune 1000 companies. He sat down with the CTO of Temporal, that's a tool for keeping long-running jobs alive through crashes, and he dropped a number that stopped me. Roughly 80% of the code in a production agent isn't the agent. It's the plumbing around it, the retries, the durable state, the guardrails, the stuff that keeps it standing when an API flakes or a server dies. 80%. The clever bit you set out to build is the small slice. Steinberg's framing is the one to keep. He splits the agent, the loop of model calls and tool calls, from what he calls the harness, the rules and tools and guardrails wrapped around it. His claim, that harness matters more than which model you pick, because models are swappable. The harness is the thing you actually have to engineer. A second engineer, Florian Bautz at Xavier, hit the same wall from the code review side. As agents write more and more code, human review becomes the choke point, and it burns out your senior people. His answer wasn't to review harder. He took the corrections those reviewers keep making and baked them into automatic checks the agent has to run on itself before a human ever looks. The reviewer's judgment turned into a wall the agent can't walk through. So before you close the laptop today, one thing worth trying. Take the last correction you gave a coding agent, the thing you had to fix by hand, again. Instead of adding a line to the prompt asking it not to do that, write it as a check, a test, a rule, something the agent runs and can't skip. Move it from a request into a wall. That's the whole shift in one small habit. So, a database gone in 9 seconds, an agent that emailed strangers, 80% of the code that was never the point. In every case, the model did roughly what it was told. What decided whether that ended in damage was the structure standing around it, the permissions, the one locked door, the checks it couldn't skip. The model was the easy part. The world you build around it is the work. That's today's Agentic Daily Brief, brought to you by Agent Native Engineering, open knowledge for building and running AI agents. The full write-ups with their sources are at agentnativeengineering.com. See you next time.